Ladies and gentlemen, if the next 10 years are going to be better than the last, it's not the economy that must change, not the government, not your company, not your spouse. The change starts with you. And that's the best news. You can change. You can fix your next 10 years starting today. You see, life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by choice. If you keep showing up with the same habits, same mindset, same excuses, you'll keep getting the same results. But if you make a few simple disciplines part of your daily life, everything can change. Let me share something simple. You don't have to make dramatic changes overnight. That's the myth. All you need is to start doing the right things consistently, and time becomes your ally. 10 years will pass whether you improve or not. So why not improve? The future is not something we stumble into. It's something we build every day, brick by brick, word by word, decision by decision. If you want the next 10 years to look different from the last, the first thing you must do is decide what that different looks like. A person without a vision is like a ship without a compass, adrift, reacting to the waves, hoping luck will take them somewhere good. But life rarely hands out progress to the passive. The future you want will not fall into your lap by accident. You must design it on purpose. Designing a vision doesn't mean writing a wish list or daydreaming about a better life. It means sitting down with yourself honestly, privately, and asking the hard questions. What do I want to become? What do I want to be known for? What do I want my days to look like? It means being specific. I want to be successful is not a vision. I want to lead my own business, help 100 clients a year, and be financially independent by age 45. Now that's a vision. It's clear. It's measurable. It's something you can aim at. Here's the truth. If you don't define your life, someone else will. The world is full of distractions, full of demands, and if you don't have a clear destination, you'll end up following someone else's path. You'll work for their goals, build their dreams, live by their standards. Vision is what sets your direction. It's the filter that helps you say yes to what matters and no to what doesn't. And don't make the mistake of thinking your vision has to be perfect or final. It doesn't. It can evolve. What matters is that you begin, that you dare to put your desires into words, write them down, read them often, revisit them monthly. Vision that lives only in your head fades. Vision on paper grows. When you write your future down, your mind starts to look for ways to build it. You become alert to opportunities. You recognize the right doors when they open, and when setbacks hit, as they will, you remember why you started. Designing your vision also brings energy. People talk about burnout, boredom, and drifting. But much of that disappears when you have something meaningful to build toward. Vision pulls you forward. It gives your daily routine a reason. You're not just waking up to work or pay bills. You're working towards something, and that changes how you show up. Don't wait until you have time to create your vision. Make the time, turn off the noise, step away from the chaos, and ask yourself what kind of life would truly fulfill you. If the next 10 years are going to be better, it starts with knowing what better even means to you. Most people never do this. That's why they spend a lifetime climbing a ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. So don't drift, don't guess, design. A clear vision won't guarantee success, but it gives you a target. And that changes everything. Your income is rarely far from your value. And your value is never far from your knowledge. If you want to earn more in the next 10 years, one of the smartest things you can do, be the smartest, is to commit to learning more. Not just casually, not just when you feel like it, but daily, intentionally, as a personal philosophy. Because in today's world, ignorance is expensive, and the person who refuses to learn is quietly building a ceiling over their own potential. Think about it. If your skill set stays the same while the world changes, you don't just stay where you are, you fall behind. But the person who keeps growing, who stays curious, who asks better questions and finds better answers, eventually becomes too valuable to ignore. That person doesn't have to chase opportunity. Opportunity starts chasing them. They get promoted, they get hired, they get trusted. Why? Because they bring more to the table. Earning more is not just about working harder, it's about working smarter. It's about upgrading the way you think, the tools you use, the way you solve problems. A good book, a new course, a conversation with the right mentor, those things can change your thinking. And once your thinking changes, your habits follow, your confidence grows, and the world notices. Some people say, I don't have time to learn. But that's not true. They just haven't made learning a priority. There are people working full-time jobs, raising families, and still reading 10 pages a day, listening to podcasts in the car, learning new skills after dinner. Why? Because they've realized that compound learning creates compound earning. Every idea you pick up, every strategy you master, every principle you apply, that's another building block in your foundation. Over time, it stacks up, it pays off, maybe not immediately, but always eventually. You don't need to go back to school. You just need to go back to learning. The library is free. Podcasts are free. The internet is full of knowledge. But you have to go get it. You have to seek it out and treat it like your most valuable asset, because it is. Your ability to grow yourself will always be more reliable than waiting for someone else to grow your paycheck. The people who earn the most are not always the ones who started with the best advantages. Often, they're the ones who out-learned everyone else. While others were distracted or passive, they were studying. While others were making excuses, they were sharpening their edge. You can do the same. You can build a habit of personal growth so strong that your future becomes nearly unrecognizable from your past. So if you're serious about fixing your next 10 years, don't wait for a raise. Raise your value. Don't wait for permission. Go earn it. Learn more, grow more, and the earning will take care of itself. Success doesn't come from doing one big thing right. It comes from doing a few small things right, over and over again. The secret is in the little disciplines. The small decisions you make each day may not seem like much in the moment, but they're either pushing you toward a better life or quietly pulling you away from it. That's the thing about disciplines. They don't shout. They don't make headlines. They're quiet, consistent, and easy to ignore. But over time, they shape everything. Waking up early, reading 10 pages, drinking more water, making the call you've been putting off, tracking your expenses, practicing gratitude. These things don't sound like much, do they? But stack them, repeat them, protect them, and your life starts to transform. The mistake most people make is waiting until they feel inspired. But discipline doesn't care how you feel. You do it anyway. That's why it's powerful. Because while motivation is emotional, discipline is intentional. Anyone can work hard for a day. Anyone can go to the gym once. Anyone can say, I'm going to change my life. But very few people have the patience and consistency to do the small things when no one's watching. That's where the gap opens. That's where people either rise or stay stuck. It's not about doing more things. It's about doing the right things daily, even when it's boring, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is clapping for you yet. The challenge with little disciplines is that they're easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. It's easy to skip the workout, easy to eat whatever's quick, easy to scroll instead of study, and because nothing seems to fall apart immediately, people assume it doesn't matter, but it does. Small neglects become big regrets. The flip side is also true. Small disciplines become big results. You just don't see it at first, but time magnifies effort. What's invisible today becomes undeniable tomorrow. There's nothing glamorous about discipline, but it builds a kind of quiet confidence. You start to trust yourself more. You start to feel like you're steering your own ship, not just reacting to life, and that feeling changes everything. It affects how you walk into a room, how you make decisions, how others see you. People notice consistency, employers notice, clients notice, even your family notices, because there's a certain power in someone who shows up for themselves, day in and day out. The best part is, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. Miss a day, start again the next. The goal isn't to never slip, it's to never stop. The people who change their lives don't have superhuman willpower. They just made a decision to master a few small disciplines and refuse to let go of them. That's how you change a week, then a month, then a year, and eventually that's how you fix your next 10. Who you spend time with is shaping who you are becoming, whether you realize it or not. The people closest to you are either reinforcing your growth or reinforcing your excuses. You rise to the level of your circle, or you sink with it. If you want to fix your next 10 years, you must get serious about your associations. You don't have to cut everyone off, but you do need to be intentional. Because energy is contagious, habits are contagious, and so is ambition. If you're around people who complain all day, you'll start to see problems instead of solutions. But if you're around people who talk about goals, mindset, strategy, and growth, you start to think differently. You begin to expect more from yourself, because now you're surrounded by people who expect more from life. You don't need 100 people, you need the right few. A mentor who's already walked the road you want to walk. A peer who challenges you to stay sharp. A friend who calls you out when you're slacking, not out of judgment, but because they believe in you. Those kinds of people are worth their weight in gold. They're not just part of your social life, they're part of your future, and they're out there, but you have to look. You have to show up where they are. They won't usually find you. You find them by becoming the kind of person they want to be around. You attract the right people by growing yourself first. When you're disciplined, when you're focused, when you carry yourself with purpose, people notice. Doors open, conversations shift. You start getting invited into rooms you once felt unqualified to enter. That's the power of proximity. The right people don't just encourage you, they elevate you. They challenge you to think bigger, speak better, act faster. They don't let you stay stuck in a version of yourself that you've outgrown. And just as you seek the right people, be the right person too. Be someone who uplifts, who listens, who shares without envy. Be the friend you wish you had. The network you build should not be built on competition. It should be built on contribution. Ask how you can add value, not just take it. When you become a person of value, relationships multiply. Not just in number, but in depth. Be especially careful in times of transition. When you're growing, leveling up, or trying something new, that's when doubt creeps in. And that's when the people around you matter most. If you're surrounded by small thinkers, your dreams start to shrink. But if you're surrounded by visionaries, your confidence grows. Sometimes, your next level isn't in a book, it's in a conversation. It's in one piece of advice, one introduction, one person who sees what you're capable of before you believe it yourself. If you want to change your life, change your circle, get around the right people, and the right mindset, habits, and future will follow. There comes a point where working harder just isn't enough. There are only so many hours in a day, only so much energy in your body. If you want to truly elevate your life over the next 10 years, you have to stop thinking only in terms of effort and start thinking in terms of value. The real game isn't about clocking more hours. It's about making the hours you do work produce more. It's about multiplying what you bring to the table, because the marketplace doesn't reward effort alone. It rewards results, innovation, and impact. You can dig a hole with a spoon or with a bulldozer. Same task, different tools. One takes all day, the other takes minutes. When you multiply your value, you start finding bulldozers, skills, systems, tools, strategies, and ideas that make your time more powerful. People often think, if I just grind more, I'll get ahead. but that mindset keeps you in survival mode. You have to ask better questions. How can I solve this faster? How can I delegate this? How can I automate this? How can I turn this into a repeatable system? Start by identifying where your strengths are most useful and how you can deliver results that go beyond the basics. You're not paid for being busy. You're paid for solving problems. The bigger the problems you can solve, and the more people you can solve them for, the higher your value becomes. Whether you're working in a company or building your own thing, the principle is the same. Increase your impact, and the rewards increase with it. This is also about creating leverage. Leverage means doing something once and letting it work for you over and over. Writing a book, building a course, creating software, developing a product, training a team. Those things take time up front, but they free you from trading time for money forever. You move from being a worker to being a builder, from an employee mindset to an ownership mindset. Look at people who are thriving in your industry. They're not just working longer days. They've found ways to multiply their contribution. They've invested in knowledge, relationships, tools, and systems. They've learned how to position themselves as problem solvers, leaders, creators, not just laborers. They've made the shift from asking, "What do I need to do today?" to "How do I build something today that still pays off tomorrow?" Even within a 40-hour week, you can multiply your value, bring better ideas, communicate more clearly, improve your efficiency, lead others, own your role like a business when you stop thinking like a time seller and start thinking like a value creator. Your perspective changes. You stop looking at life in terms of limits and start seeing possibilities. You don't get paid more just for showing up. You get paid more for showing up differently. And if you commit to multiplying your value every year, just a little, you won't have to chase opportunity. You'll become it. One of the most overlooked habits of successful people is the discipline of checking in with themselves. They don't just move, they measure. They don't just plan, they pause to reflect. They don't just hope things work, they adjust as they go. If you want the next 10 years to look radically different, you have to stop living on autopilot and start living with awareness. Because progress without tracking is just motion. You could be busy for a decade and end up nowhere new. It starts with measurement. What you don't measure, you can't improve. That applies to your finances, your health, your time, your business, everything. When you track your habits, your progress, your outcomes, you start to see patterns. You start to notice what's working and what's not. You catch yourself before you drift too far off course. You spot the small leaks before they become major breakdowns. Measuring brings clarity. It removes the guesswork, and clarity is power, but measuring isn't enough. You also have to reflect. That means setting aside time, weekly, monthly, quarterly, to ask the real questions. What did I do well? What did I avoid? What did I delay? Where did I settle? Where did I show up strong? Most people don't reflect because they're afraid of what they'll find. But the truth will always be your friend, even if it stings at first. Reflecting honestly is how you stay aligned with your goals. It's how you reconnect with your why when the grind starts to wear you down. It's how you make sure your daily actions still match your bigger vision. And then comes the adjustment. Because just setting goals in January and hoping they still apply in December is wishful thinking. Life changes, circumstances change, you grow, you learn, you get new information, and that means you have to be flexible. Adjustment doesn't mean quitting, it means recalibrating. Maybe you realize your plan was too vague. Maybe your timeline was unrealistic. Maybe you need a new strategy or a different environment. That's not failure. That's intelligence. The most successful people in any field are constantly adjusting. They're not rigid, they're responsive. They know that staying stuck in a plan that's not working is worse than having no plan at all. When you build this cycle of measure, reflect, and adjust into your life, you create something powerful, momentum with direction. You stop spinning your wheels and start gaining traction. You don't waste years repeating the same mistakes. You don't drift so far that you don't recognize yourself. Instead, you course, correct often, fine-tune regularly, and grow intentionally. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress, but progress requires awareness. And awareness is built through habits of review. It might only take an hour a week, a few minutes a night, a quiet morning each month. But that time is worth more than any paycheck, because it gives you something no one else can give you, control over your own path. And once you learn to track it, you can change it.